Hey guys, this is one of the first things I ever made in Unreal. It was mostly monkeying around with the various mechanics to see what I could do with Unreal Engine. A link to a playable version will be in the description below. Level 1, the jump. This level mostly consists of placing platforms and custom subtraction-based geometry using brush boxes, with the goal of reaching an orb that is tantalizingly out of reach. The fire is part of a simple blueprint I set up to reset the level upon collision. I use it much more in the later levels. As for the platforms themselves, this level is kind of a mess. It's cramped and overly simplistic, but it works. I'm sure I could do much better if I were to rebuild this today. I was mostly exploring cutting holes in geometry and jumping through them in the most basic of platforming mechanics to reach the end of the stage. Level 2, the tower. Another basic platformer. This time I was really drawn to the idea of having the goal in clear sight right from the start before making the player move far away from it in order to proceed. The climb can get rather tedious, so I think a more dynamic level layout would be ideal for future ventures. Each stair is just a little outside of comfortable jumping range, so if you happen to miss the platform, you're in for another long climb up. This level was mainly about playing around with the staircase mechanic to create the spiral around the outside of a cylinder punctuated with brushbox subtractions. I do like the concept, but the execution would need a drastic overhaul where I'd recreate it again in future. I do enjoy the plummet to the orb at the end here though. Level 3, the fall. This time it's something a little different. I got really into seeing what I could do with physics. These fireballs bounce around and will ragdoll the player on contact. The level starts with the target orb falling past before being blocked off. If you're quick enough you might catch it, but if you're not you have to make your way down past the fireballs. There are several spheres set up with a custom reset blueprint relying on basic physics and momentum as well as a slight bit of magnetism towards the player. This entire tower is made for the same brushbox construction as the previous levels, hollowing out the inside of a massive cube. Some of the clipping is off-center, and I could have used a higher poly boolean, but the basic concept is there. I designed it so that the fireballs would be a constant threat moving down, so best not stand still. The goal of this level is to make your way down to the bottom layer while avoiding the fireballs along the way. The longer you take, the more fireballs you'll have to dodge, and the harder it'll be to reach the end. Dropping through this hole you have to land on the right sphere or start all over again. Level 4, the Whalebones. A continuation of my physics-based puzzle idea. This time with many fireballs moving in tandem. It sure does look pretty. Timing is the key for this one. The basic idea is to run through the gauntlet without getting hit. I would have liked for the balls to move with a bit more randomness, but it is what it is. The level was made in such a way to keep the balls forever rolling by carving cylinders into shape and then adding a central pipe running down the middle. It's fairly basic compared to the earlier levels, simply move in a straight line from beginning to end and make your way through. Couldn't be simpler. Level 5, the maze. A totally different setup on this one. This time it's a maze with a monster. Make your way through the lost dungeon without getting caught. This level was done by playing around with simple AI navigation. The monster was my usual fire equals reset blueprint and is coded to run towards the player's position the first chance it gets. I also had two other mechanics to try and keep him from instantly closing in. Golden circles, which trigger the destruction of a specific world element, and raised stones which tell the monster to chase a different target for several seconds. The most difficult thing to set up was the maze itself. I used a glass asset to form the walls, then had to add 400 or so iterations throughout the map. Doing it again, I would probably look into some form of procedural generation to save time. This maze is solvable, but the path to get there may take a while to find. Good luck. And that's it for my earliest level pack. There were a few interesting mechanics I'd like to come back and explore at a later date, and some things I'd definitely do better now that I know more about working with the program, but I just thought I'd share some of the things I was working on back when I started all this. If you would like to play through the levels yourself, a link will be in the description below. Thank you for your time.